No matter who wins the war for the future of Warner Brothers, be it Netflix or Paramount Skydance, one thing is for certain. David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers, is going to have the last laugh and the biggest paycheck. That, of course, pointed out by the Wall Street Journal here just a few days ago. Matter of fact, just about a day before the surprise announcement from Paramount upping its bid to $30 per share all cash, a total of about $108 billion to buy the storied Hollywood company right out from underneath Netflix. And as expected, we're going to get op-ed pieces like this one, also from the Wall Street Journal, talking about the MAGA influence of this entire situation. But is it really as influential as some may believe? Let's cover this article and talk about it. Renegade Online. Well, folks, welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see all of you out there once again. And if you are like one of the many watching this video not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. Make sure to join us every Sunday and Wednesday afternoon right here at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show. Unquestionably, David Zaslav is going to walk away the winner and have the last laugh, as the Wall Street Journal here pointed out about 4 or 5 days ago now. But what wasn't in the story yet, as we mentioned in the intro, was the fact that Paramount was about to surprise everybody roughly 24 hours after this story dropped. And it's not over yet. Even at $108 billion, I wouldn't at all be surprised to see that Paramount offer climb even a little further. Hey, if you're already going to spend $30 a share, why not try to hit allegedly what is David Zaslav's magic number of closer to $34 a share? It's about a 10 to 12% increase from where they are now. Seems like small potatoes for that investment group, which some people do have some concern over, and I understand it, but what you have to remember is a lot of those foreign entities, including the Saudi money that people seem to be most concerned with when it comes to David Ellison's investment group, are not going to have any voting capability when it comes to running this company. They're merely silent financial partners looking for a good return on their portfolio. And they do it that way to avoid even more regulatory scrutiny in the U.S., whereas if they were to have voting power. But in this case, for right now, folks, small potatoes, not much to worry about. Let's talk about David Zaslav and the MAGA wars, as Wall Street Journal calls it. Whether or not it's a good move for the streamer, the world has bigger issues is the subtitle here for the Wall Street Journal opinion piece, Netflix Enters the MAGA Wars. This is by Holman Jenkins. Chalk one up for the Albanian army. He says the Trump-supporting Ellisons using their Paramount vehicle may have launched a hostile counteroffer for Warner Brothers Discovery, aiming to pry the prize away from Netflix. So what? Netflix ends up the winner either way. Win or lose, he says, streaming's 900-pound gorilla will have thwarted or at least impeded a carefully laid attack by interloper David Ellison and his billionaire father, Larry. I remember about 3 years ago now when David Zaslav was referred to as an interloper by so many people in Hollywood. Somebody who was on the outside coming in and taking over a storied entertainment, frankly, Democrat-only run business for the last many years. And they kind of don't like this now, especially when they're friends of Donald Trump. The skepticism comes, I should admit, the article says, from a columnist who 8 years ago wanted Netflix to merge with Disney. Yes, this was actually a thing 8 years ago. There was thoughts along these lines, if you can believe it, as scary as that would have been. Don't Netflix's Reed Hastings and Ted Sarandos want their baby to become, quote, the world's premier entertainment brand? Sure they do, I said at the time. They demurred then, but have been steadily shedding one-trick ponyhood ever since, adding live sports, advertising, and video games. Basically all things that Netflix just a couple of years ago said they were never going to engage in, right? But now they have a $400 billion company to run. Warner Brothers, recently worth barely $20 billion, would, I'm guessing, take up 80% of Netflix's management time while accounting for 10% of its value. Is this a good idea? To be fair, he brings up a phenomenal point right there. If you really consider the amount of time and energy Netflix is going to have to put in to not only running, but learning how to run a major self-contained studio with massively owned IPs, especially if they allegedly promise to maintain theatrical windowing for Warner Brothers' slate of titles for the future. But of course, I keep questioning how brief is that future going to be. Again, Netflix has changed its mind on so many different things, so many times I've lost count. And I'm highly skeptical, no matter how much Netflix promises, that theatrical releases, and God only knows what will happen to physical media apart from just disappear altogether, how long they would actually keep those theatrical releases. The Netflix proffer was last minute, opportunistic, and reactive. Reactive to the threat of a new competitor in Paramount Warner. In response, the Ellisons must declare war. They have no plan for the recent Paramount acquisition except to bulk it up with Warner. Netflix, meanwhile, finds itself issuing improbable assurances. It will keep its competitors in the theater business afloat. Right. It will continue to share Warner content with its competitors in the streaming and traditional TV businesses. Sure.
Do you have a little knife that you're going to try to stab me with?
No, I'm too weak.
Come on!
Now, I think it's a little early in the game to say that Paramount had no plans at all once Skydance came in and Ellison came in to do anything other than gobble up other studios, because this was just a magical coincidence of timing. The Ellisons came around while Paramount itself was struggling and up for sale, and lo and behold, around the same time, this 3-year window expired of when HBO, Warner Brothers, and all these things, basically David Zaslav couldn't do anything with it until this year. So, hey, look at it as a golden opportunity for people like the Ellisons to come in, but I think they have more plans for Paramount long run than just acquiring additional assets like Bob Iger.
She can't have one.
Who says I can't?
Warner franchises from Superman and Bugs Bunny to Harry Potter and Game of Thrones are deeply rooted in America's multi-generational imagination. Netflix hasn't had time to spawn such franchises itself. Understandably, it covets Warner's. But this precious intellectual property also comes with risks. Netflix's algorithmic approach and its need to keep its shelves overflowing with, and I love this line, mostly second-rate material. Might not the result veer towards AI slop? Exactly. This is a big question when Netflix really breaks it down and really wants to start cutting costs and get rid of a lot of what they may consider to be dead weight at Warner Brothers. Nothing that they would probably do immediately, but don't be surprised to start seeing major shifts within a year or two of the acquisition. They don't want to throw everything against the wall and out with the trash from day one, but yeah, it wouldn't at all surprise me that Netflix is going to be the company that really does dive both feet first into AI. Number one, because let's be honest, Netflix is the most hated company when it comes to the Hollywood unions. That's for damn sure. And I don't think Netflix would have much ado about anything to simply throw the baby out with the bathwater here and start pumping out the AI slop with Warner Brothers IPs at the helm. Spending $72 billion to become a vertically integrated content mill for degrading the world's best IP? Not a small risk. A management pratfall to spoil Netflix's heretofore reputation as a maker of smart moves? Also a risk. Netflix has been the utility streamer where all content makers want their content to land sooner or later. Has it lost confidence in its current trajectory? Also a very interesting question, but if one of your biggest costs as Netflix is not only content creation, but also content acquisition in terms of licensing fees, they're probably also looking at this from the standpoint of we'd rather just own it than continuing to rent it and be at the mercy of a studio whose content we really want to have and is popular with our members, waiting on them to come up with something new when we can simply have it and crank out as much cannon fodder as we possibly can to dump on the service. I think there's an honest question here of the degradation of quality to come in the future with Netflix owning something like this. Not saying that Warner Brothers has done a bang-up job and given us everything perfect from everywhere since they've taken it over, at least from AT&T, but I'd still rather that than Netflix.
I don't care what they tell you in school. Cleopatra was black.
We're talking execution risk now, but political risk has been the preoccupation of the hour. Senator Jack in the Box, Elizabeth Warren, already is screaming monopoly, oddly joining the presumed side of the Ellisons and Mr. Trump. No big media deal ever goes unpoliticized in D.C., but Mr. Trump's refreshingly naked desire to be the arbiter of everything is also in play. Yeah, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that's picked up on the fact that people like Elizabeth Warren and Donald Trump are hilariously on the same side of this issue. Netflix's Ted Sarandos is already cultivating Donald Trump. Out of one side of its mouth, Netflix can tell doubters it's holding off a MAGA takeover of Tinseltown, and out of the other, it'll seek to co-opt Mr. Trump by spreading some of its Hollywood glamour his way. One thing the outcome won't be, however, is a disaster for humanity, except perhaps for Netflix shareholders. Deeply discount the moaning of Hollywood reactionaries and certain podcasters, maybe me, I don't know, trying to edge themselves into the spotlight. Well, for the average American, the sun will come up without the slightest regard for who wins the Warner bidding. To mention the most popular moan, the silver screen has been losing its monopoly on displaying moving pictures since the arrival of television in the 1940s. Really? Theater operators will have to save their own skin, finding ways to make sure a public screening remains an event that viewers and movie makers want to participate in. I feel like I've seen something very similar to that statement recently. What could it have been? Oh yeah, it was this from THR. How can the movie theaters fill more seats again? A Bain report shares suggestions. Now, I'll get to that article in greater depth on the Wednesday live show at 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're here for that. But let's just say it seems that everybody read this Bain report and is coming up with these ridiculous conclusions on what needs to save the theatrical industry. How about step one? Don't sell it to Netflix. Some of the accompanying falderall does merit deeper reflection, however. Mr. Trump's lawsuits against ABC and CBS, his supporters seeking control first of CBS owner Paramount and then CNN owner Warner Brothers, the rise and unknown fate of Barry Weiss. All this might seem dark comedy to some, or at best, a very rough kind of justice for the performance of our national news media in the past decade. But at least it's something. Some response, some adjustment after so many serial faceplants. Their news revenue may be minuscule to Warner and Paramount, but these businesses command the attention of Mr. Trump and his antagonists. They played an outsized role, for better or worse, in his rise and empowerment. Two very different sets of Americans can at least agree on one thing. Something has gone seriously wrong with our national elites and needs fixing. In the post-Cold War era, the big story was the global rise of American business and technology, including the amazing rise of Netflix. The big story has changed. Who owns Warner Brothers? Next, it's already been through 3 sets of hands in a decade. Perhaps doesn't merit as much heavy breathing from the political class when war, peace, and the survival of global prosperity are at the question's center stage now. Certainly the Trump administration, and quite frankly, most of the federal government, including Congress, is going to have a lot to say about a merger such as this. Again, when it comes to Netflix, as I said very early on, I believe that would be the worst possible outcome for who Warner Brothers goes to. Paramount, Comcast would be much better suitors. And as I continue to remind people that lament that Warner Brothers is getting bought out anyway, come to Jesus. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to get this thing. That is a done deal. Once you get past that, you've got to start making choices of who you want it to be, because yes, there is a big difference from one to the next. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll talk about the future of theatrical on the live show tonight. Hope to see you there. Take care. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.